If you've ever wondered about meal prepping and how it can transform your life, you're in for a treat. In today's episode, I'll be sharing my top healthy recipes that not only nourish your body, but also make your daily routine a breeze. But that's not all. I'll be answering your questions about meal prepping, providing insights, and unraveling the secrets to a healthier, more convenient lifestyle. Now, the benefits of meal prepping. Number one, it's a time saver. You can efficiently plan and prepare meals in advance, saving precious time during hectic weekdays. Meal prepping is cost effective. You really cut down on impulsive food expenses by buying ingredients in bulk and minimizing food waste. Nutritional consistency is a huge one. You this way ensure a well-balanced diet by thoughtfully organizing meals with the right mix of nutrients. Not to mention the reduced stress and convenience. You eliminate the daily mealtime dilemma and experience a more relaxed approach to eating. And you get to make healthier choices. You make mindful food decisions ahead of time, promoting a healthier and more conscious lifestyle. Now, number two, there are oodles of meals from the plant paradox. For instance, for breakfast, you want a hot breakfast cereal? Now, while oats are not plant paradox compliant, millet makes an excellent stand-in for a simple and satisfying hot cereal. You can create a delicious breakfast effortlessly by blending millet, spices, coconut milk, and monk fruit or allulose sweetener in an Instant Pot. Simply divide the mixture into mason jars when you're done, and when you're ready to enjoy, reheat in the mornings and fold in some walnuts. Lunch or dinner? Lettuce wrap tacos. Now, while tacos can be a healthy choice, the tortilla wrapper, whether corn or flour, is loaded with lectins. Now here I've swapped out the traditional wrapper for crunchy lettuce leaves and filled them with veggies and protein for a gut-friendly, nutrition-packed taco. Streamline your meal prep with this easy approach. Prepare the filling in advance. When it's mealtime, effortlessly scoop the filling into your lettuce cup for a quick and satisfying meal. Sheet pan fajitas, a fantastic make-ahead dinner, but also incredibly easy to prepare. Just toss your ingredients onto a sheet pan, pop it into the oven, and you're done. When mealtime arrives, just reheat your fajitas and use cassava tortillas or break out the lettuce wraps. For an extra flavor boost, consider preparing guacamole in advance. Pro tip, squeeze lime over it and store it in an airtight container to keep it from browning. Another handy trick is to keep the avocado pit in the guacamole container. It's actually a natural way to prevent browning. So how about lectin-free lunch kits? Please skip the store-bought ready-to-eat meals that are filled with preservatives, chemicals, and lectins. Not to mention, they often come in single-use plastic with BPA, a known endocrine disruptor. Instead, why not try my simple and wholesome lunch kit alternatives? Prepare it with ease by combining almond crackers, garlic and chive cheese spread, 1 to 2 ounces of plant paradox approved meat or cheese, sliced lettuce, and in-season fruit. So you pop it into a BPA-free container, and you've got a well-balanced lunch kit ready to accompany you or the kids anywhere. Now, what about products? I've mentioned this over and over again in the Plant Paradox series, but please get yourself glass storage containers. Now, almost all of these will have a plastic top, but guess what? You don't want to fill it full enough to come in contact with the plastic. The glass is what you want. These are easy to find now, and you can, good news, carry them with you and take them wherever you go. Number 2, please get yourself a bottle that's either made out of stainless steel to carry your waters around. Titanium is available. I actually like the glass bottles that have the outside foam covering, but you do have to be careful with glass. These things are readily available. Several of them come with 2 layers of steel for insulation purposes. It's an easy way to take your coffee to work, your soups to work, your smoothies to work. And again, they're readily available. Don't put them in plastic. Meal prepping on cutting boards. Please ditch your plastic cutting boards. Unfortunately, they will leach microplastics into your food, and that's the last thing you want. We're now finding microplastics in men's testicles. We're finding them in the plaques in carotid arteries and coronary arteries. In fact, we're finding them just about anywhere, and they, in and of themselves, are endocrine disruptors. Get yourself a solid wood cutting board. Don't get the ones that are multiple wood cutting boards, because those seams will actually harbor bacteria. What about getting wood into your food? Well, guess what? Wood is just cellulose. And surprise, surprise, your gut bacteria think cellulose is delicious. In fact, you'll see many products out there that add cellulose as their fiber. Why not a stainless steel or titanium cutting board? Unfortunately, it really dulls your knife, and you'll want a really good knife. As I mentioned before, when I was growing up back in the dark ages, we wrapped everything in wax paper or parchment paper. It's a really great way of having no plastic in touch with your food. And as I hope you've realized or read about, the tighter plastic is wrapped around the food, the more these chemicals, these endocrine disrupting chemicals like phthalates, are transferred into the food you're eating. Lastly, if you have to buy chicken or beef or any other food in a shrink wrap package at the grocery store, the first thing you do when you get it home is transfer it to a glass container. Get it away from the plastic. So these are really easy things you can do to make your home a safer, less endocrine disrupting home than you had yesterday. Okay, now it's time for our question and answer. And this is at Serene-Florentina on Instagram. What do I prep for my 83-year-old father in order to give him more strength or power? Well, give him the gift that keeps on giving. Give him the Plant Paradox Cookbook or the Plant Paradox Family Cookbook and cook from that for him. Believe it or not, these are going to be foods he loves, but love him back. So thanks for asking for your dad. Another question from at Wells Ariel on Instagram. How to meal prep without increasing histamine. You know, I see a lot of patients who are initially histamine sensitive, or at least they think they are. And strangely enough, not to me, but when we put them on a lectin-limited diet, magically, mystically, well, not magically, mystically, their histamine intolerance goes away. And it's a delight for me to see people who literally are so sensitive to histamine-containing foods that they're afraid to eat them or even prepare them. So if you just follow the recommendations on the yes and no list, it's amazing how histamine intolerance goes away. Let me answer a few more common questions. Since I shouldn't use plastic containers, how should I store my prep food? Well, I think I answered that already. Put it in glass. How long does food last in the fridge? How many days should I meal prep? Well, I found, and particularly with the families that I advise, that if you meal prep on the weekends, when number one, the odds are almost everybody in the family is at home at least for part of the weekend, it can become a family project. And I can tell you from personal experience with my kids and grandkids and myself growing up with my parents, that kids love to experiment in the kitchen. And they love to be put in charge of at least one part of preparing a meal, if not the whole thing. So that makes it so easy, because what happens to all of us is we've got to get the kids to 14 different practices every day. Everybody in the family has to work 1 or 2 jobs. And by the end of a grueling day, the last thing you want to do is cook dinner. And what you do is you either run by the grocery store and take a prepared meal, which is bad for you, or worse, you go to the fast food place or pick up a pizza because you're exhausted and everybody's hangry. Meal prepping beforehand solves this problem. And they'll stay all week in a normal refrigerator. In fact, if you're really worried about it, particularly with the proteins or the sauteed vegetables, put them in the freezer and just pull them out the morning that you're going to use them. Worst comes to worst, most modern microwaves have a defrost cycle that are actually pretty doggone accurate. And so worst comes to worst, you've got something either in the refrigerator or in the freezer, and don't, whatever you do, microwave in a plastic container. Put it in glass. It should have been there in the first place. And last question, how should I portion out the meals? The amount of protein, the amount of veggies, and the carbs. I'm a terrible person to ask. Why? You should be a gorilla who lives in Italy. What do I mean by that? You ought to be eating a bunch of leaves and pour olive oil on it. But seriously, just remember that the largest animals on Earth, all they do is eat leaves. And a horse, a gorilla, has far more muscle than you and I will ever have. The other thing they're not eating is simple carbohydrates. Finally, Americans are over-proteinized. I'm sorry, we are. We, in general, eat 3 times the amount of protein that we actually need per day. Every study shows this. And as I've shown in multiple of my books, the more animal protein you eat, the less healthy you are, the higher the incidence of type 2 diabetes. So be a gorilla who lives in Italy. More amazing episodes just like this one. Watch now. And the more bitter the greens are, or the vegetables are, the better they are for you.